There was an elderly man named Mr. Harper who lived alone in a small house on the outskirts of town. He had lived there for as long as anyone could remember, a quiet figure who didn't ask for much from anyone. Harper was well known by the few people who lived nearby, though most of them didn't know much about him. He had always kept to himself, and his quiet nature only seemed to make him more mysterious in the eyes of others. Mr. Harper had no family left, not since his wife passed away many years ago. He didn't have any children, and his relatives had long since moved away. He worked a modest job most of his life, running a small repair shop. Now, in his later years, he spent most of his time reading, gardening, and walking to the nearby hospital. People often saw him walking slowly down the street, his steps steady despite his age. He carried a small leather bag with him, which, if you asked him, was filled with pennies. Not many knew where he got them from, but every week he would visit the hospital and drop a handful of those pennies into a donation box by the entrance. It wasn't a lot, but it was something he did without fail. He never asked for recognition, never wanted anyone to know. It was just part of who he was. But as years passed, something started to change. Little did anyone know, Mr. Harper's quiet actions were part of something much bigger. It all started with a simple act. Mr. Harper would visit the hospital every Thursday without fail. The donation box was there, sitting by the front doors, waiting for the coins of those who cared to give. Mr. Harper, despite having very little to his name, always made sure to give a few pennies, his way of helping, even if he couldn't do much else. To him, it was important to contribute. His donations, although small, were regular. One day, as he dropped his pennies into the box, the hospital administrator, a young woman named Sarah, happened to notice him. She had seen him before, but that day she was struck by the way he gently placed his coins in the box. There was something humble about the way he did it, as if it was something sacred to him. Sarah couldn't help but wonder why someone like Mr. Harper, who didn't seem to have much, would give so much of what he had. She approached him quietly, offering a warm smile. "Thank you for your generosity," she said, her voice gentle. Mr. Harper paused for a moment, looking up at her. He gave a small, kind smile in return, but didn't say anything. He simply nodded, the wrinkles on his face deepening as he did. He wasn't one to explain his actions, and Sarah didn't press him for more. She just admired his quiet dedication. Years went by, and Mr. Harper continued his ritual. But what no one knew was that the quiet, unassuming man had a plan, a secret legacy that would one day come to light. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more inspiring stories. It wasn't until 5 years later that Sarah, now more familiar with Mr. Harper's weekly visits, learned something that completely changed the way she saw him. One afternoon, she received an unexpected phone call at the hospital. The voice on the other end of the line was soft and kind, but it held a sense of urgency. It was the lawyer's office, calling to inform her that Mr. Harper had passed away quietly in his sleep. She wasn't shocked. He was elderly, after all. But something about the call made her heart tighten. A week later, a letter arrived at the hospital addressed to Sarah. It was from Mr. Harper's lawyer. Inside was a document that revealed a surprising twist. Mr. Harper had left behind a will that would change everything for the children's wing of the hospital. The will held a secret, one that no one could have predicted, and it revealed the depth of Mr. Harper's quiet generosity. The hospital, where Mr. Harper had spent so many Thursdays, would soon become the site of a remarkable transformation. The letter from his lawyer explained that Mr. Harper had donated his entire estate, the small house, the modest savings, everything, to the children's wing of the hospital. He had carefully planned it for years, quietly arranging his finances in such a way that, even after his passing, his legacy would live on. His donation wasn't just a lump sum of money. It was an investment into the care and well-being of the children who needed it most. His estate would fund the expansion of the children's wing, provide better equipment, and ensure that children facing long hospital stays would have a place to go where they felt safe, cared for, and supported. But there was more. Mr. Harper's will also instructed that his name be placed on a special plaque in the children's wing. It wasn't meant to be a grand gesture. He asked for no ceremony, no fanfare. He just wanted the children and their families to know that someone cared, someone had thought of them. The plaque was unveiled quietly in the corner of the room one sunny afternoon. It read, "In loving memory of Mr. Harold Harper, whose quiet generosity changed lives." And so, a quiet man who had never sought attention was honored, not with grand gestures, but with something far more meaningful. As Sarah read over the details of Mr. Harper's will, she couldn't help but be struck by the man's humility. He had never asked for recognition, never expected anything in return. His entire life had been about giving, not for fame or glory, but because he genuinely wanted to make a difference, no matter how small. He understood that change didn't always come from big, dramatic gestures. It came from steady, quiet actions that added up over time. In his eyes, the children's wing wasn't just a hospital. It was a place where hope was nurtured, where young lives were given a chance to grow. He had always believed that no matter how little you had, you could always do something to help others. For Mr. Harper, donating pennies was the beginning, but the real gift was the legacy he left behind, a legacy that would continue long after he was gone. Sarah stood in front of the plaque one evening, quietly reflecting on the life of the man she had come to admire. She realized that Mr. Harper's story was a reminder that every small act of kindness mattered. Even the smallest of donations, even the quietest of legacies, could leave a lasting mark on the world. Mr. Harper's story had ended, but his legacy lived on, not just in the donations, but in the lives he had touched along the way. The children's wing of the hospital was soon filled with new equipment, brighter spaces, and more resources to support children and their families. The staff worked harder, inspired by Mr. Harper's quiet generosity. They too began to realize the power of giving, not for recognition, but because it was the right thing to do. Sarah, who had always admired Mr. Harper's dedication, became an advocate for giving at the hospital. She started a fundraising campaign in his honor, encouraging others to donate, even if it was just a small amount. She knew that Mr. Harper's legacy would live on in every coin, every penny that someone chose to give. It wasn't about the amount, it was about the heart behind it. And so, in the quiet corners of the children's wing, in the rooms where children laughed and played, Mr. Harper's presence was felt. His legacy, built on years of small, silent donations, had transformed the hospital into a place where hope blossomed. The plaque with his name, now a symbol of his quiet strength, stood as a reminder to all who passed by. No act of kindness is ever too small. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more inspiring stories.